Hello my dear friends, I hope you guys are doing great. In today's video, based on a request I received, is about how to deal with someone who's diagnosed with schizophrenia. Now this video might not be so much different from the video that I made a few weeks ago. That video was about how to deal with someone who's diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder, or NPD. There are a lot of things about one disorder versus the other that can be different, but when it comes to family members, there can be quite overlap of how to approach them and how to deal with them. And in some cases, they can be actually quite the same how to deal with them. So I'm hoping that this video is not exact copy of that previous video, but at the same time I'm hoping that you do understand that there can be an overlap, that there are certain things that families can do just the way I shared in previous video. First of all, this person who approached me for this video is that they come from a different culture background, and if you're someone who is coming from a different culture background, it is probably a good idea to first help yourself to learn more about schizophrenia. Now, I'm not going to cover that in this video, what schizophrenia is. If you're someone who can use Google in different language or in English, and you're okay to do that, you can probably search that. But if that search engine is, again, we know that it's not always reliable, it depends on which kind of website you end up with, then in that case it would be always a good idea, or probably best idea, to approach professionals that your family and this person in your family is working with. So it's always a good idea to ask the professionals to provide you some knowledge about what schizophrenia is, what are the symptoms, and how you guys can also help the person. Having said that, I know you have asked me, so I'm going to give some of my knowledge and also some of my experience that when I work with families of people with schizophrenia, what would I expect? So again, consistent with the previous video, in that video I talked about assertiveness and being consistent and all that. So I hope that you do remember that from that previous video. They still play a role. But one thing that I would like to mention in today's video is that it is quite important that you learn the skill to regulate yourself. What do I mean by that? As a human being, it's quite normal for us to experience emotions as we're dealing with someone who is dealing with an illness. For example, if this person is having an anger episode and you feel very frustrated and you feel really worked up inside, I hope that you do have some really good skills to cope and to regulate that emotion or those emotions, because usually it's not only one emotion but many emotions happening at the same time. So I hope that you're able to regulate yourself and take care of your emotion. I hope you're skilled enough in this area to do so. If you're struggling with that, I highly encourage you that if this is the time that you notice that usually there's a physiological sensation to emotions that are coming your way. So if you notice that something is happening to your body, such as usually it's heartbeat that's getting faster, we get into fight and flight mode. So if you notice some of those kind of physiological sensations, maybe those are an indication for you to actually remove yourself from the situation. How do you remove yourself from that situation? Well, it varies from context to context, but let's assume that you are able to walk out of that room, that you're dealing with that patient who is suffering from schizophrenia, knowing that you are going to regulate regulate yourself, but it's not you don't want them to feel that you're just walking out on them. But hopefully you do have some communication in place to say that, hey, right now I do feel really worked up inside, and I would like to go out and take some fresh air, or I'm just going to take some time for me. So that would be one strategy, that if you notice that emotions are coming to you, it would be a good idea to go and take care of that emotion. The reason for that is because we have in some in some studies, that high expression of emotion can be problematic for someone that is diagnosed with schizophrenia. What do I mean by that is people around them, if they have a high emotional expression, it can be difficult for that person, and also probably even it might interfere with the process of their treatment in some ways. Of course, if you're really stressed with family problems you have, then the process of treatment can get a little bit interfered with your level of stress. So in this case, it's always a good idea to be aware of what you're feeling, and while dealing with them, knowing that when is the time for you to engage in a conversation with this person. And again, if you're using assertiveness, you're holding them accountable towards something, but also knowing that there are certain limitations that you might have as a human being. But in order for you to take hold of that limitation is to use your own skills. So I hope that makes sense. I hope that it gets a little bit clarified that what is one thing that could be added to overall, knowledge of how to deal with a loved one who is diagnosed with mental illness. Again, that consistency, that assertiveness, that kindness, that love and compassion, all of those. At the same time, one thing that I'm just adding in this video is knowing that high emotional expression is problematic. You don't want to do that. You want to be a mindful family member or a loved one yourself, and you have a really good grip of your own emotion as you're dealing with this person. I hope this video helps, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a great day and stay safe.